Boomers and EVs, the truth no dealer will tell you about. Welcome to another episode of the Guy Midikiff Show. And this one's going to be all about why the old car sales model may be going the way of the dodo bird. If you've ever bought a car and felt relieved just to escape the dealership, well, today's episode is going to be just for you. This isn't about loving or hating electric vehicles. That's not what we're about at all today. It's about understanding why the traditional car sales model works the way it does and why EVs are threatening that old model. In part one, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about money, incentives, and what dealers don't want you to know. Then we're going to do a two-part series. And the second part, what we're going to do is research the pros and the cons and whether or not EVs actually make sense for we baby boomers. And there will be a part three, but that's going to be a bonus segment. So you'll have to stick around and see what that's going to be all about. The dealership model was built for a different era. Dealerships made sense when information was scarce. They controlled pricing, inventory, financing, service knowledge. You had to go to them to find out what anything really costs. That advantage is gone, and EVs have accelerated that loss. Why don't we talk about the finance office? And that is the real business. Boomers already know this part instinctively. Let's take a look at where your money goes when you go to that dealership. Loan interest markups, that can be anywhere from $200 to $2,000 plus. Then there's the good old extended warranties, that great 100% markup. That's a moneymaker. That's at least $1,000 profit for a lot of these car companies. How about gap insurance? $200 to $600? Straight to the bottom line. And don't forget about those add-ons, the stuff you didn't even know you needed until you got in to sign the final contract. The negotiation is straight up kabuki theater. The finance window is the profit engine. And all these little add-ons happen after you've already agreed on the price with that slick salesperson. So let's hit a couple of key points here. Before we do that, I'm just going to put my cards straight on the table. I'm a huge believer in American capitalism, and I understand that it's been the driver for this country's success for a century or more. And I equally believe in a great book that was written by a renowned economist. His name was Milton Friedman, and he wrote this book called Free to Choose. And that's what this show's all about. When you go to buy that car, you are in fact free to choose. And EVs break this model because they need fewer warranties, fewer repairs, and fewer service visits. And of course, this discussion would absolutely not be complete unless we talked about maintenance. And that's just another quiet revenue strategy, and a very profitable one for them at that. And by the way, you have no choice, because if you want your beautiful Fiat to last you 100, 200,000 miles, you got to do a couple of things routinely, and you're married to it. Oil changes, transmission servicing, exhaust servicing, coolant servicing, the list goes on and on. And oh, by the way, what could possibly go wrong with a gas-powered powertrain that has north of 1,500 moving parts? And what's the average annual maintenance on most cars in America? Anywhere from $1,200 to $1,800 per year. But how about the Tesla Model Y? Well, it has no gas engine. It's got no transmission. You don't have to mess with the oil. Well, occasionally you do have to fill the windshield with wiper fluid. That's a fact. That maybe once a month. Well, it doesn't rain that much here in Texas, so maybe once a year. The electric drivetrain has roughly 20 to 40 moving parts. Mine has 20 because I have the single engine version to get the longer range, lighter weight. That's not ideology. That's a mechanical reality. And as we move towards the close, I want to give you a short version of how I personally ended up with a Tesla. I've always been a great big science fiction fan ever since I was a little kid. My dream was to be an astronaut. The closest I ever came was I got to go flying with the Blue Angels. I was not a Blue Angels, but that's about as close to heaven as I ever got. I'm not exactly the stereotypical California Tesla owner, by the way. And I'm not saying that from a point of disrespect at all. I'll tell you that I'm sixth-generation Texan, where the obligatory F-350 sits in most of my relatives' driveway. But on October the 13th, 2024, 2 days before my 66th birthday, I watched something I'd never thought I'd see in my life, and that was Starship 5 as it came back to land out of the sky and landed between two monster chopsticks, like something straight out of Buck Rogers. A rocket caught by a tower and set down to Earth like it was nothing. That moment stuck with me. It made me wonder, if SpaceX can do that, what can engineering inside of the Tesla do? A month later, boom, bada bang, I own my first Tesla. I got a used one. I test drove one first. Whole automated process, like no test area. I mean, there was no salesman in the car with me at all. I mean, you just swipe an app, you go get in the car, and you go drive it for an hour and bring it back. Boom, bada bang, done. So I got a used 2022 Model Y, had about 30,000 miles on it, bought it for around $25,000, and I drove it. I put about 30 to 40,000 miles on the car, and I absolutely loved it. But eventually I sold it this year for $26,000, and I upgraded to the 2026 Model Y long range. And after the tax incentive, my out-of-pocket costs were around $37,000. Granted, that went away at the end of September of 2025. You snoozed, you lose. And guess what? Not since I was in high school have I enjoyed driving a car so much. And since then, two of my pilot buddies have also bought Teslas. They're as happy with theirs as I am with mine. And thanks to Tesla's generous refer and earn program, well, it got me a couple of nice little bennies along the way. And the funny thing is, we continually, at least once or twice a week, hey, did you get that latest software upgrade? Do you know how to use regenerative braking? How do you do this? We just love it. It's so interesting. And frankly, it kind of reminds us of the aircraft that I used to fly and that they're still flying, the Airbus. A lot of it's so similar, it's unbelievable. But in part two, what we're going to talk about is what really matters to retirees. Operating costs, safety, range anxiety, battery life, and how AI is about to finish reshaping car buying altogether. And stand by for part three. That'll be a bonus episode. You're just going to stick around and see what I put on that one. So if you've ever wondered whether this system is designed for you or against you, stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your retirement. Enjoy those golden years. Remember what I always say, health is wealth. Go get your 10,000 steps in. Thanks. Take care.